Okay, welcome to my video on reference pictures. This is Mr. Fogelson here, and let's start off by opening a new document. So I'm just going to click this new document on the menu. I'm going to go ahead and title my document reference picture with a little space in between, and then my initials. Hit enter or OK. And I have my document open. I'm going to hit Control minus to zoom out. I'm going to minimize, and I'm going to open up a internet browser. I prefer Chrome, but at the school we have Internet Explorer, so we'll just have to go with that. My home page should be Google. There we go. And let's just say, for fun's sake, I'm going to make a logo for some, Arizona or something. And I need a reference picture, something that's going to help me in regards to use it as a source or resource to help me draw out that logo. So the first thing I'm going to put on my logo is a cactus. Whoops, I spelled it wrong. That's why I use spellcheck and dictionary.com to help me out with spelling, because spelling is not my strong suit. Then I'm going to go ahead and hit images, and I'm going to click this little gear thing. This is my options menu, and go to advanced search. Alright, so I have kind of the main word that I'm looking for with the picture, or an image. I'm going to hit this image size. I'm going to go large, okay? And then I want to go to usage rights at the bottom here. And since we're doing this for educational purposes, we want to get in the habit of doing stuff professionally. So we're going to go with the usage right of free to use, share to, or modify, even commercially, just to get in the good habits early, so you don't get later on, if you're doing logos for clients and stuff, you don't get sued. So I have my usage rights set, and I'm just going to hit advanced search. And here are some images that show up, and I could just kind of scroll through and see what I like, maybe what I don't like, and you could pick one accordingly. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on this one. It looks kind of cool. The color isn't so good here, but you can always modify the color to how you like it, if it's like a black and white / grayscale photo. And sometimes if you want like a different size, there's a similar images, and that'll give you other options over here. Now if the page is white in the background and it says block page, that means it's blocked by the filter. You really don't have any access except for the display window. I'm just going to click full size. It's a really nice large size. I'm going to right click, save picture as, so I hit the top button on my pen to right click, save picture as, and I'm going to put it in my documents. That's what you should do in regards to saving it, because if you put on your my documents and when you go to a different computer in the classroom, it'll be saved on the network. I'm just going to notice what it's labeled so that I know what the title is. I'm going to hit save, and it's on my documents. So I minimized the the Internet Explorer, Internet browser, and I'm just going to go ahead and open up Adobe Illustrator. Now a quick shortcut to get to Adobe Illustrator would also be Alt, and hold down Alt and hit the Tab key to switch between the other programs. It's very nice when you're using Windows to go to a different window by holding down Alt and hitting Tab. Really useful. And toggling over to other programs or windows that you have open. Alright, so I want to get my reference picture in my Adobe Illustrator document. I grabbed it from the internet. I have the rights to it. So what I'm going to do next is go up at the menu here and go File. Okay, so this is really important. File, and then it says Place ... So File, Place, and that'll allow me to place that picture into my Adobe Illustrator document. Now I'm going to go to where I saved it, which is under my documents, and I have it right here. So I have that. That's, remember, the title of the cactus picture was. I'm going to go ahead and hit place, and it places my document. Now it's kind of small, so I'm just going to go ahead and drag out the corner and hold the Shift key to make it sure it's proportionate. If I don't, that's what happens. So I hold the Shift key, and I can hold the Alt key, so it goes right from the middle. So I'm holding the Shift and the Alt key at the same time. Then remember, release the pen and then the keyboard shortcuts, and I have my reference picture now. I'm going to go ahead and double click this layer and label this reference pic, and then hit enter or OK. I have that labeled. What I like to do next is when I'm working with an image, I like to use it as a guide. Sometimes I use it, put it off to the side, and then kind of trace, you know, in accordance to my resource. You could do that. Or you could use it to kind of trace over and make it your own, and that makes it really kind of nice. So what I want to do is make sure that I have this picture in my Adobe Illustrator document when I save it. And so it stays there, so if I open my Adobe Illustrator document, we're not going to have any problems. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to embed it. And if you know anything about like Microsoft Word, it automatically embeds those photos so they're with the Adobe Illustrator document. So really important that we embed it so that if we close out this document, we open it, and that picture that you saved on your My Documents disappears, you have it in that Adobe Illustrator document. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play with opacity. This is how to make it like, you know, a little bit transparent, kind of like, you know, when you know, people have bad personalities. So make sure that you kind of set it to what you like it to be, so you can kind of see through in regards to your drawing or tracing or whatever you're using, and to use this as a reference. So that opacity helps. I'm going to lock that layer. I'm going to make a new layer. Remember, the shortcut for a new layer is Control-L, okay, because we want to use our layers from the videos we learned from before. Or you can click this Create New Layer right here. Remember, layers are really important to keep organized so that you kind of know where everything is. And when you become a better drawer, you become more detailed, you incorporate all the skills that we've learned from the videos before to accumulate that mastery of the skills into some good drawing ability. Okay, so I made that new layer by hitting Control-L, and I'm just going to call this outline. Oops, let's make sure we spell it right. There we go, hit OK or Enter. And I'm just going to go to the pen tool, and what I'd like to do with the outline is I like to make sure that the stroke has black so I can see what's going on. And I'm just going to start from the bottom here, from the bottom of my digital canvas. Remember, with using an image, you have kind of freedom to do whatever you want. I don't want you to just copy the image for exactly how it is, because then it's not really your own. And I know you have usage rights, but you still want to get in the habit of being original, because no one likes a tracer, right? I know there's, I think there's a movie about that. It's pretty funny, about a guy who's a tracer, and he gets kind of upset about that, even though he does comic books. Anyway, I'm drawing this out. Remember, if you're curving it, you want to click that last point to get another kind of control of that pen. We're making an organic shape. Those of you who don't remember organic shapes, feel free to check out my organic shape video. I'm taking my time here. You could zoom in by hitting Control+, hit the bottom button on the pen to pen and scroll, and then I could just kind of get a closer view to be a little bit more careful if you want to. Or you could zoom out by hitting Control- and see the picture as a whole. Remember, bottom button on the pen to kind of grab the picture and move it around. Oops, I'm going to hit Control-Z because I didn't like that last point. I missed it. And like I said, we want to make it our own. Right now, I'm not making it too much my own, so I got to start becoming original. Come original, yeah, come original. Any 311 fans? Yeah, that's old school, so those of you who may know 311, Control-Z, may recognize that song. Alright, so I'm just, I don't like that because it's getting a little thin. I'm just going to go ahead and draw that out a little bit. Let's just do another arm here on the cactus. Okay. Did you know the plural of a cactus was cacti? That's some fun information that you probably didn't know. So I just go ahead and I click that anchor point. Let's just make another arm here. I'm getting original here. So we're just gonna, we could always go back and fix it up. So don't think anything's permanent when you're making your drawing, because you can tighten it up and make it look pretty cool. And we could always add detail later. So I am going to complete the organic shape. Remember, that last point to first point makes that complete shape. Remember, you have to have a pen with a circle. That allows me, whoops, I missed it there, Control-Z. That allows me to complete the organic shape and make that last anchor point one complete anchor point. And I'm noticing that when I did the outline, my opacity, if I deselect, is 50%. So that outline, we got to make sure that we want to keep it at the opacity that we want. I just turned it to 100, and I have my outline there. Now, I want to add some fill to this, so we could just drag this stroke to there just to see what's going on. And now that it's not an outline, feel free, you can always go and change your layer names. Again, I just double-clicked on that outline layer, and I'm just going to call it Cactus, and hopefully I spelled it right this time, and hit OK, and then Control-Shift-A to deselect. And I notice it's a little bit bumpy and sloppy, so now I'm going to go ahead and tighten up my anchor points a little bit. I could hit A for the direct selection tool, and when we go over our anchor point, we know we're over our anchor point in the direct selection tool when we have a box with a empty box or white in the middle of the box, and if we don't have the anchor point, we have black. So I'm just going to go ahead and have the empty box or whatever, and I'm just going to go ahead, that lets me know I have the anchor point, and just work with the anchor points a little bit. And we notice we have this little handle on the anchor point that allows me to stretch it out a little bit, pull that handle. And another really useful tool when it comes to working and tightening up your anchor points with organic shapes or any kind of shape you draw with the pen tool is let's take a look. It's this Convert Anchor Point tool, and also the shortcut for that is Shift-C. Okay, so it looks like a little kind of like an acute angle, and it's a Convert Anchor Point tool, Shift-C. So let's hit Shift-C as in cat, and then I'm going to go ahead and go to some of the anchor points and just make sure you click on the anchor point, otherwise it's not going to allow you to go on that anchor point. It's just going to come up, a window might come up and say not able to click on it. Make sure you click on the anchor point. So I'm just going to click and make sure I click and drag on that anchor point and just kind of pull the handles out. So it lets me use the anchor points. It lets me pull out the handles and make it look a lot more kind of natural. Shift-C, let's just take a look, and then and if you don't like it, you could always change it to how you want to. I'm just going to go to A to the direct selection. So I'm working within the Shift-C and the anchor point direct selection to find what works best for this cactus. This kind of looks awkward. So let's kind of tighten it up a little bit. Let's just move this up a little. And we're just tightening it up. And you could notice, I mean, I've been working with this program for years, but I still, make mistakes. So I'm noticing here there's kind of a funny looking kind of flap here. I'm just going to go to the pen tool, and you'll notice if I bring it over to the anchor point here, I could just, it automatically goes pen minus. So I could get rid of that by hitting the pen minus, and then just going to A for the direct selection tool and dragging this out. And it gets a little bit more clean, the less anchor points, the more clean it is. I did the same thing there. Accidentally clicked it twice, so I'm going to hit Control-Z. And, you kind of have to work with the program in regards to letting it do a lot of the work for you, okay, rather than you doing more of the work. So that you make it look clean and nice, so you're like one big happy kind of cactus family. All right, if that makes any sense. All right, so I could kind of do this all day in regards to cleaning it up, but you just want to make it so that when you're happy with it. I'm hitting Shift-C, and I'm just going to round this off a little bit so it's not too sharp, but also so it looks shabby. Okay, and I have my cactus, and I'm going to work with some value in regards to the color on the inside. And you can get creative, depends on the logo, depends on how many colors you are. And if you're using value, remember, you don't want to use too much value. I'm just going to add an anchor point here, I noticed this. And then just, when I add an anchor point, I just bring it over to the line here, and it changes to a pen plus. And then I go over to the one I don't want and hit pen minus, sorry. So that evened that out. Sorry, I had a little ADD moment there. So anyway, in regards to the value, remember that you want to avoid too much value in regards to if you're working with only a few colors, because then it costs a lot of money. But if you have the freedom to use a lot of value, feel free to use the gradient tool as much as you can. And the gradient tool, remember, To get to that, we have it selected. We hit G for the gradient tool. We got to make sure we go see the gradient flap up here, and I don't. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Window, and then gradient is Control F9. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the shortcut, Control F9, Control F9 again, and there's my gradient. It shows up here. Remember, you can hit these down arrows to get more options. And I have my gradient here. It changed to a white and black value scale. So I want to make that like a green, because I think a cactus is a green kind of looking thing. And I'm just going to change those buckets a little bit. And you could always double click on the bucket, and if you have the color, you can hit this down arrow till you get these little ranged options where you can alter. And I just made this bucket by double clicking and making this bucket a little lighter so it draws a little bit more contrast in regards to the cactus. And I'm just going to go ahead and select the cactus with the selection tool, or you can hold the control key and click on it, and I'm going to hit X to get to my stroke. And I'm just going to go ahead and drag this to my stroke just so it makes sure we have it on the stroke, and make that a little darker and a little bit of a thickness on the stroke weight, just to give it a cool kind of look in regards to that. Now I have the outline of my cactus.